Hey everybody, Eric back with another DVD review of a wrestling collection. This one's going to be the WWE Best of Raw 2009 set, the much awaited review of that DVD. Actually, no one's been waiting for that, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Actually, ironically, the Best of 2010 is coming out this week, I believe, so this kind of ties into that. I'll be picking up that DVD as well, as I decided I'm going to be a wrestling historian, despite the fact that a lot of these DVDs are very subpar. This one being one of them. I would not recommend buying this one at full price. I'll give you my overall score right off the bat. 2.5 out of 5. There were some very good matches included, but overall, 2009 on Raw was not that great. So, I wouldn't recommend it. But let's just run through what made the cut as far as 2009 in the eyes of the DVD producers. Basically, they run chronologically throughout the year. They've talked basically episode by episode what happened throughout the year. They skip a lot of episodes where nothing happened, and that's a problem, Raw. You probably shouldn't have episodes that don't matter and are completely forgettable, but that was the case. So they started in January with the HBK JBL Alliance storyline. That was a great storyline. HBK versus John Cena with JBL in his corner. A really good match. Pay-per-view quality. Great chemistry and storytelling between HBK and John Cena. Same episode, they jumped Randy Orton versus Kane. Basically the formation of Legacy. Picked up mid-match with this one. Kane robbed by the referee as Orton wins. And then Manu and Snuka were booted from Legacy, and Legacy, as everyone remembers it, was formed with Orton, DiBiase, and Rhodes. Then the following week, January 19th, CM Punk's Chicago Homecoming. Punk versus Regal for the IC title on a no DQ match. CM Punk picks up the Intercontinental Championship in a fantastic match. Both wrestlers did a great job of manipulating the audience in this one, so definitely loved watching this match again. Same episode, the return of Mr. McMahon, who was out 6 months following his $1 Million Mania accident where the stage collapsed, went to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. He rehired Chris Jericho, and then Stephanie McMahon forced Chris Jericho to apologize to the fans. This was a fantastic segment. Jericho as the big whiny baby. Probably one of his best roles to date. Then Randy Orton demands that Stephanie apologize to him. That led to Randy Orton versus the McMahons. Orton punted Vince McMahon on this particular episode. Then February consisted of one item. February 16th, Shane McMahon falls to Legacy. Orton versus Shane in an unsanctioned match. Shane was punted, Stephanie was RKO'd, and Triple H had to make the save, setting up the Orton versus Triple H feud. In March, multiple moments were mentioned. March 2nd, Randy Orton's Mania decision. He had to choose which opponent he wanted to face at WrestleMania 25. He decided he wanted to press charges against Triple H for a sledgehammer assault. Excellent acting between the two, I thought, and I love the personal twists that were thrown in, bringing up the evolution element of things, the Triple H being married to the McMahon family sort of thing. Definitely enjoyed those elements of that feud. Then the following week, HBK face-to-face with The Undertaker, setting up what would be a phenomenal match at WrestleMania. Things started off in March with a phenomenal promo between the two in the ring. Then you had HBK at the Graveyard, a very early 90s style-esque promo put on by Shawn Michaels at a graveyard, talking about all of Undertaker's WrestleMania victims. And then, same episode, Man Enough for Miss WrestleMania, Santino and Mickie James. It's just dumb. I don't know why they feel like Santino is worthy of being mentioned in a historical DVD discussing the greatest elements of Raw. Then we jump to April, a WrestleMania All-Star match from April 6th, 5-on-5. John Cena, Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, Ricky Steamboat, and CM Punk taking on Edge, Matt Hardy, Kane, Chris Jericho, and Big Show. Typical overcrowded match. This one's not worth seeking out. It was cool for Ricky Steamboat, though. Because of all the people involved in the match, Steamboat was able to carry his own in this one and looked pretty good. Then rivalry in London as Cena took on Jericho. I don't really consider this that much of a rivalry. I guess you could say it is because Cena helped retire Jericho once, but I think they were overplaying that. Cena and Jericho tried to force a good match out of each other. Jericho always has good matches, so I would say this was a good match, but definitely not one of Jericho's best. Edge wound up interfering in this particular bout. Then they jumped to 420s. 427, April 27th, Orton versus MVP, where Shane wound up attacking Randy Orton. MVP looked great in this match. It's a shame he does not work for the WWE anymore, because he showed flashes of greatness throughout 2009. May consisted of 2 incidents. Santino making fun of Vicky Guerrero made up the first half of May. And the second half of May was the Denver debacle, the double booking of the Pepsi Center in Denver. And that was May. June 1st, U.S. title match, MVP versus Kofi Kingston. Phenomenal match with Kofi Kingston winning. Loved this match. Great build-up to the match, too, I thought, between 2 faces. I thought they did a great job. Then from June 15th, the Fatal 4-Way between Cena, Orton, Show, and Triple H for the championship, the vacant title. A very hot spot fest. Well done, I would say. Not the best Fatal 4-Way ever, but I enjoyed watching the match nonetheless. Then Trump Raw from June 22nd. Donald Trump buys Raw. Episode airs commercial-free. WWE title, Orton versus Triple H. Accelerated storytelling in this one. I don't know how I feel about that. And then a double count-out finish was actually serviceable here. The feud needed to continue, I think, because this feud was went beyond just a couple of matches. And so I did like the ending. It's one of the few times I would actually support a double count-out ending to a match. But I certainly recommend checking that match out. Then the Vince's limo incident from the same episode. Vince was trying to get his limo to the arena and force the limo driver to carry him on his back. It's just stupid. And celebrity guest hosts would kick off from this point on throughout the season. A lot of people groaned. Thankfully, that gimmick is over now. But 2009, the second half of 2009 was dominated by the celebrity guest host idea. Then June 29th, the 3-on-1 gauntlet match. Randy Orton had to face Evan Bourne, followed by Jack Swagger and Mark Henry. Great character development with the 3 opponents that Randy Orton had to face in successive fashion. Evan Bourne put on a great showing, played up his character. He's the high flyer, but maybe just doesn't have what it takes to hang with Randy Orton. Jack Swagger, making his Raw debut, decided he didn't want to face Randy Orton and would do Orton a favor and bail out of the match. So Swagger got himself counted out, walked away. And then Mark Henry came out and acted like he was going to do the same and teased a heel turn, but instead decided to face Randy Orton. And it was actually one of the best bookings of Mark Henry that I can recall. An entertaining bit, but not a whole lot of great wrestling came of it, obviously. Especially with one of the opponents actually quitting the gauntlet match. Jumping to July 6th, Orton versus Ted DiBiase, a good match. And then 7/27, July 27th, Shaq meets Big Show. And that was it in July. August 10th, the women's Fatal 4-Way match. They had to put a chick match on here. It wasn't that great. It was fun. It just wasn't a great match. Fun spot fest between Beth Phoenix, Kelly Kelly, Gail Kim, and Alicia Fox. Then I Know What You Did, starring Freddie Prinze Jr. Freddie Prinze Jr. was the guest host of Raw on August 17th. He had a fun bit with Santino Marella in the ring. Once again, though, Santino Marella, not part of the best of Raw. Same episode, Chef Hickenbottom. DX reunites as Triple H has to find Shawn Michaels to get help with his feud with Randy Orton and Legacy. And he finds Shawn Michaels working as a chef in a cafeteria. A funny bit resulting in Shawn Michaels super kicking a little girl. So certainly support that. Then August 31st, Jericho versus MVP. This was an average match. Followed up by a U.S. title match from the same episode of 4-Way between Kingston, Swagger, Carlito, and The Miz. Also an average match. Jumping to September 7th, The Price is Raw. Guest host being Bob Barker. Great pricing game bit with Bob Barker and Chris Jericho. Loved it. Then they followed that with Big Show versus Mark Henry. They featured that match. Winner got a hot tub. But this match, not worth watching. So I don't know why it made the DVD cut. Same month, different day, September 14th, Batista returns. Batista versus Randy Orton in a no-holds-barred match. A good, fun match between these two. Really enjoyed it. Jumping to October 5th, Jericho versus DX. Gimmicky ending, didn't enjoy that. But pretty good considering all 4 of the wrestlers in the ring were world champions at some point. They can't really fail, but not the greatest match anyway. October 19th, Cena's Last Raw. Cena took on Triple H in a rare 20-minute match on Raw. Very good match, though. It was kind of slow at points. And I wasn't really sure I enjoyed some of the spot-to-spot pacing in this match, but it was still a good match. And then Jericho versus Kofi Kingston, a decent match from October 26th. November 16th, Santino Loves New York. Santino versus Chavo made the cut because Santino came out wearing every jersey from every New York team except the New York Islanders. Whatever. It reminded me of the awful Chavo-Hornswoggle feud, though. And man, I did not want to be reminded of that. Same episode, Legend Killer strikes again. Randy Orton takes down Rowdy Roddy Piper, but then gets a massive beating from Kofi Kingston. The most raw and aggressive Kofi Kingston anyone's ever seen. He took it to Orton. It was fantastic watching this brawl. It wasn't really a match, it was just a brawl. It was great. Same episode also, triple threat tag match between Jericho, DX, and John Cena and Undertaker. It was very overly simplistic. Didn't really enjoy this match, just oversimplified. So many elements they could have employed there that they just didn't. It was really just to play up to the Madison Square Garden crowd that night. So I disappointed, is what I would say about that match. And then November 23rd, CM Punk versus John Cena for the first time ever. Those two guys really didn't do anything special, I would say. Not another match you really don't need to seek out. And then December 7th, the TLC preview. Mark Cuban holds a question and answer session with Sheamus and John Cena. Now, we all know where Sheamus was going following this. He would actually win the title at TLC. Props to Mark Cuban, though. He took a beating from Sheamus in this one. So, congrats, Mark Cuban. Thanks for taking a bump or two, being one of the few guest hosts that was willing to do so. And then December 14th closes out the disc. The Slammy Awards. John Cena versus Randy Orton for the Slammy for Wrestler of the Year. Superstar of the Year. Decent match. These guys face off so much. I really wish that they would incorporate some better elements into the matches between Cena and Orton. But that's your DVD. That's 2009. Just recapping it there, 2009 did not sound that great. There were some pretty good matches, and the DVD definitely did a good job of including those matches, but overall, 2009 was a downer in wrestling. And so I don't recommend picking up this DVD unless it's in a bargain bin somewhere or somebody gives it to you, or you really need a paperweight, and all of the less than $15 paperweights are sold out. So that's my thoughts on the Raw Best of 2009 WWE DVD.